All right, and I'm once again reclaiming my time. Doug was talking about the Turks, and I checked him out. And Doug, I definitely thank you. You always have some inspirational and some educational things to show us towards. I usually don't go towards it, but I'm looking these people up, and they look pretty dope. They've been around since like '94, they've been around for a while.
Believe it or not, that's the longest running show on YouTube, the number one. And it's the largest online media company with, gosh, they're probably going almost to like 8 billion views. It's the real deal.
So they started YouTube the year it started, so I would hope they're the longest running.
Yeah, Carlos ain't trying to get them no more credit.
I'm being a Wikipedia warrior, so I'm just going to the Wikipedia like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
It's a beautiful thing. They're really good, and like I said, it's incredibly honest to the best of their ability. I love how they approach the news. They're not sliding it in one direction or a different direction.
Are you a little bit biased because they're California based?
Not at all. No. In fact, the first time it's just fascinating. The first time I saw it, the main guy is. I don't mean to be mean guy, but it's like he looks more like he's like a boxer than he is.
He looks like Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone.
And so I thought it was like Jake LaMotta from Raging Bull doing a news podcast.
He looks like Mark Cuban on steroids. I'm just saying.
Here's what's insane. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll listen to what this guy's talking about. He's so smart. He's a guy that he's got a degree in law. He went to Penn State, blah 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 blah. And he realized in his he became a lawyer. He's doing his law thing. He hates it, and he reads somewhere that hey, if you can have your own public television show. And he's like, really? I get my own show. And he started it that way.
And for our feminist listeners, he was also his co-host is a woman. Her name is Anna.
Yeah.
It's like both sexes are represented very well. I'm reading here, but no, check them out. Yeah, the Young Turks. Doug, I'm gonna cut you off because you're gonna go into the Young Turks.
Wait, real quick though. Was I the only one that thought Doug was gonna say he is so sexy? Because like he dragged it out like it was so sensual, whatever was about to
No, he's like Jake LaMotta.
Man crush right there. He was over here talking only about the man, like his brain. He's like, okay. So that's what I was really surprised at how much power, because as a young Black gay man, I haven't really ever had a voice, especially coming up in foster care. I've never had a voice. And now I have this voice, and I told the lady, I was like, I'm going to make you famous, and y'all going to apologize to me. And it's just so amazing how you could just use your voice. And that kind of ties into net neutrality. I know we don't get really technical in this podcast, but does anyone know what net neutrality actually is?
Yes.
All I know is that Carlos, you're saying it wrong.
Net neutrality. I don't know.
Neutrality. You don't have to say neutral.
Neutrality. Okay, well, you know what? Neutrality. Net neutrality. Doug, what do you know about net neutrality?
He's so bad at it right
now. Basically, what it means is that right now the internet is free, okay? And the larger corporations, Comcast, Time Warner, Spectrum, blah, 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 they want to change the laws so that they can own the internet. And let's say they didn't like Savage Media Radio, they could slow down our bandwidth so that other people couldn't listen to what we were doing, right? And they could give people that paid more money a faster bandwidth. So and that's the first part. So make kind of like fast lanes and slow lanes based on how much money they get, which is total bullshit. And then the second part of it has to do with the content. And so maybe for you want to learn about how, I don't know, hats are made or whatever it is. And if they don't like that content, they'll omit that from, they'll slow down those websites. So it really makes it a very unfair, unfree playing field. And that's the very basic of it.
And that's exactly right, Doug. You hit that right on the head. For my video, that's why I brought up that video, and that's why I brought up that voice that we were talking about earlier, is because for people of color, we've never really had a voice that was free. That all you had to do was get behind a fucking phone that you have, say what you wanted to say, and put it out there. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes no one cares. But sometimes you get the world behind you, and your voice gets put out there. There's this snippet from SaveTheInternet.com, and it says, "Why is net neutrality so crucial for communities of color?" And it says, "The open internet allows people of color to tell their own stories and organize for racial justice. When activists are able to turn out thousands of people in the streets in a moment's notice because ISPs aren't allowed to block their messages." And that's what you were kind of saying, Doug, about slowing down or blocking. The mainstream media is being misrepresented, ignored, and harmed by people of color. And thanks to systematic racism, economic inequality, and a runaway media of consolation, people of color own just a handful of broadcast stations. So pretty much what that means is, and we call it, we call it Twitter thugs. Like when something happens and when some white person says something like racist, we will find out where you work. We will find out who your family is. We gonna get you on your Facebook. And I just recently did that to some guy. He made a really asinine comment on my YouTube thing. He was like, "Look at you, you and your husband are thieves and swindlers because you sit here and you drive a Mercedes, but yet you ask people for money on GoFundMe. You're fake, you're phony." So I was like, well, if you've been following my story, you would know that I've owned my car for a couple of years and I worked hard for it. And second of all, I'm not forcing people to donate. I gave you the story. I gave you the option. I'm like, hey, I need help. A lot of people don't even ask for help. And then the second part of it was, I just I went and did a little research, and he's actually one of the only YouTube people who use his real name, which is like my another issue with YouTube is that it's very anonymous, and people who have made death threats, people have made like severe threats on me on YouTube, and you just really can't find out who they are. But he left his real name, and I found him on Facebook, and I literally made a little Instagram video, and I put it on Instagram and Snapchat, and within the hour, he was like, "Can you please take down your video? Your fans are just blowing up my phone, and my boss has been called." And I was like, yeah, because on the picture it said where he worked. Because on Facebook, it was like it says his name, where he worked, where he has worked, and they went in on him, and he was a college. Like, oh no, I don't. This is what things people need to learn about me. I will use my voice. And my friends call it a cult, but I don't like to use the word cult. But they're like, you have a cult following of people that literally love you and like literally will do anything that you put out a thing. But that's also dangerous for me because I also like I said, I destroyed that man's business when I really didn't mean to. So what do you guys think about net neutrality? What do you think about net neutrality? What do you think about like the power that it gives? And if they take that away, that's literally them taking our voice. Like if net neutrality actually goes through, I won't have a voice. If the police come bashing through my door, who's going to know about it? Because are you going to pay for my YouTube channel? Like if they're like, Carlos's YouTube channel is $7 a month, and then you got another $7 a month, or just like how they do Netflix and Hulu. How do you decide what you're going to actually pay for? Troy, what would you do in that circumstance?
Say that again. The last thing you said about what I'm going to do?
So like if you had the decision to pay for either your Instagram or my YouTube channel, what are you going to pay for?
In regards to seeing you?
No, just in honesty, like what's more important, like your Instagram or my YouTube page?
My Instagram, me personally, because
exactly, and I don't blame you. Shit,
to withhold, but that's why you get like Mr. Facebook and all these other people and create your own damn network. You can do a lot of things that you can do your own stuff. Like
what net neutrality is doing is that you can create your own network, but then what if people have to pay for your network? People aren't going to pay for it. People aren't. If it's not free, people won't listen to you, and that's pretty much the basis of my conversation. If my YouTube wasn't free, you wouldn't really care because you're not going to pay to listen to me. Like Courtney says, make people sad.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. You know why I don't believe that, Carlos? I don't believe that because if I supported you the way I said I would, and YouTube says I have to pay, then that only shows you I'm a real supporter and I'm down. Because if I really follow you the way I say I follow you, if I had to pay to follow you, then I would. That's real talk.
Because you know what? You're different than 98% of
That's what I was just about to say.
Because niggas don't even support niggas now, and that shit is free.
Right, but guess what though? Guess what though? There are people that will support you, so fuck those niggas that won't and go with the ones that will.
You're right. You're right.
That's how I see it. I don't give up, Carlos. Y'all know how I am. I don't believe in that. No, people will pay to. I'm an artist, so you mean to tell me people won't come pay to see me perform? It's the same thing. You paying to see me perform is the same thing as paying to see me. It's the same thing. Exactly. If people want to see you, they will pay for it regardless.
And that's
you gotta give them something to want to see and to pay for it. If I'm just gonna sing and hear you talk all the time and you talking in your room all the time, I'm not paying to see that. But if you're on these streets interviewing people, if you're doing shit that's right, I will pay for it. So it's on you. What are you putting out there to make me want to pay for it?
That's true. I love, and that's why I love this podcast. We all have different little like opinions. I don't agree with your opinion, but I respect it, and I can understand what you're saying. Like if you're good enough to pay for it, you're good enough to pay for it. And that's kind of like what Chris said. Chris is like, Carlos, you give your fans your whole life. You entertain them. You tell them jokes.
Hello.
The least you can do is like, hey, bro, I need some help right now. Y'all got an extra $1 or $2? Like you don't have to.
Other people are doing it, Carlos. Other people are doing it, and they're getting the money. Why? Because you got to just close my mouth, don't get fed. You can't be afraid to say, hey, that's taking you up to another level. Because now you got to provide the content they need to want to see you. So it's a two-way street.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. What do you talk about? What do you think, Coco?
No. It's gonna take too long. You can pass me.
All right. Well, that was my segment, guys. Just really think about your voice and think about what you put out, and the negative and the positive. Because don't make everybody sad all the time, which is why I actually put out a fun comedy UTK, which Coco also told me was sad. But
it's so funny, Carlos, because you're like, okay, that's the end of my segment. That was great. Great segue.
Give it straight to the point. Thank you guys for kicking it with me, and I'll see you next week.
All right, guys. We're excited to announce that we will be soon launching another new show here on South Media Radio called God is Problem, hosted by our very own John Mercer. Be sure to check out this powerful packed and informational podcast about what is affecting business today and how we can make change for a better tomorrow. Stay tuned for launch dates and announcements for other information about this fantastic show, The Job is Problem, hosted by our very own John Mercer, right here on Savage Media Radio. We are now looking for talented singers, songwriters, rappers, and the like thereof to feature on our weekly summit, Today in Music. If you would like us to consider featuring your work, contact us today on savageonair@gmail.com. And be sure to include your name, that's contact number, links to your SoundCloud, Bandcamp, and individual tracks, and be sure to include in the title subject, Today in Music feature, in the subject line. We're excited to hear from you. If you're listening, be sure to follow us right here on Spreaker.com. Spreaker.com, y'all. It's important. I know we say this every week, but it's really important to have all these amazing listeners, but none of y'all following us on Spreaker. That's how that's how you invest in us. Like Carlos said, that's how you help us to keep things moving so that we can keep doing what we're doing, but I'm going to keep it moving. Follows help determine if our content is connecting with listeners, and as well as help us to be chosen for various distributing platforms as well as sponsorship, y'all. So please remember to like, share, and follow us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to kick things over to a new little spin thing we're going to call Savage Politics. Let's get it going.
Well, everybody, I guess we're going to take a swing at talking about some politics. I know it's a vibrant time here in the United States, indeed. And I guess the gang and I are going to talk a little bit about some things that I think are interesting in politics. And hopefully I'll be able to explain some things and just kind of, shed some light on some stuff.
Please enlighten us.
Yeah. So the first thing, which is cool, because normally I don't talk about politics just because it could, it can boomerang in the background. But, there's a lot of love here. And also, I think that sometimes there's so many things happening in politics, it's hard to keep up. And that's one of the tricks about mass media. But here's what's interesting. First thing I'm going to talk about is a guy named Rex Tillerson. So Rex Tillerson, who was the Secretary of State, which basically is like, I'm going to say maybe the third person in command in the United States. Insane.
It actually is the third person in command.
Yeah.
If the president dies, vice president, secretary of state. That's
Yeah,
how
so it's huge. It's huge person in politics. So Rex Tillerson recently quit, strike that. He got fired. So here's the backstory on it. So Rex Tillerson, some of you may or may not know, Rex Tillerson was the CEO for ExxonMobil. And now I don't agree with anything Rex Tillerson has to say politically, but I could say Rex is definitely not a dummy. He's a super smart fella, and we do not agree on anything politically, but I would not underestimate him in any way. He's a bright guy. So Rex Tillerson, what's happening is Donald Trump is running for office. He's doing his thing. He wants to put Mitt Romney as his Secretary of State, but all of a sudden he changes who he's going to have put in Secretary of State, and he brings in this guy named Rex Tillerson, who has no political background whatsoever. All he is the CEO of ExxonMobil. Now, there is this big what if and question mark as why the heck did he choose Rex Tillerson? Well, some people believe that he chose Rex Tillerson because Donald Trump, for the most part, is getting a lot of information from the Russians. Okay. Now, I know a lot of people out there might say, "What are you talking about, Doug? That's crazy." Well, okay. Well, just hear me out for a second. So all of a sudden, here's this guy that's going to be the third most important person in the United States. Instead of Mitt Romney, it's this Rex Tillerson guy. Why would Rex Tillerson be brought into office? Well, because he was the CEO of ExxonMobil, he knows a lot about fuel and how to drill for fuel. So there was this gigantic deal in play, and I'm kind of giving you the parts. So there was this gigantic deal in play between Russia and ExxonMobil, and the deal was a $9 trillion deal, not million, not billion, trillion.
Shit.
American dollars?
Yes.
That we don't have.
Hello.
Right. Well, hold on. So let me finish. So above Russia is all this ice, okay? And Putin and Russia and ExxonMobil were going to go up there to try to drill, okay? Now, what's happening is Russia doesn't have the technology to properly excavate the oil out of the ground, but ExxonMobil does. So there was this very big deal kind of starting to brew. Now, Obama had put in sanctions on Russia while he was in office, but Trump wanted to put Tillerson in play so he could help remove the sanctions and get the deal with the Russians. So far, so good?
Got it.
Okay.
Come on.
Following.
Okay, cool. So okay, cool. So what happens is that Congress voted down lifting the sanctions like 92-2. So the sanctions, so the sanctions were never going to be lifted. Also, the price of oil changed. So ExxonMobil jumps out of the deal. They bail out of the deal and they say, we don't want to be, we're not going to finance this excavation and we want to leave. It was predicted that Rex Tillerson would automatically leave office or he'd leave office soon. And lo and behold, the wonderful Rex Tillerson, CEO of ExxonMobil, left 5 days later. So it's one of those things that in the States right now, there's a lot of this pay to play. And the administration, the Trump administration, a lot of the people that are in there are really experts in the field, but have no political background whatsoever. And
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Real quick before I forget.
Sure.
Did the Republicans have this plan in play prior to Trump being in office? Because why did Obama have to put sanctions on Russia? Was it because of that whole plan to drill, or was it because of something else and it just happened to be a barrier now for their plan?
Well, one of them had to do with it being an environmental issue.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, so one of them had to do with an environmental issue, is where you can drill. So and you know, the Republicans normally aren't very keen on the environment. So
exactly.
But at the time, the Democrats held the House, and so they were able to vote in these sanctions. You know, now
they're just
you
barriers.
move a little bit. Right, now they're just barriers. So long story short, what's interesting is that even though Congress voted to put in additional sanctions on top of what Obama already did, Mr. Trump really doesn't want to do those sanctions, and he doesn't want to implement them. So my point is that for Rex, if people are wondering, well, who's Rex Tillerson and where did he go and why did he go? And that's basically it. The third person in command wasn't going to be able to get this gigantic ExxonMobil was going to make 1/3 of that deal, so they would have made $3 trillion. And when that deal came off the table, Rex Tillerson really had no need to be in the administration anymore. And he said a couple of pretty nasty things about the Russians, and Mr. Trump tweeted, "You're fired," like a reality show. And away went Mr. Rex Tillerson into the abyss.
Quick question. Do you think that Betsy DeVos is on her way out? Do you think she's the next one on his cabinet as the Secretary of Education? Especially with everything, like today we had the Children's March, and we had literally some schools that were expelling and suspending kids for missing school to go out on this march, and then other schools were, of course, cooperative and understood and gave them the time to voice their First Amendment right. Betsy DeVos recently just did an interview, and she had no clue about how to actually fix the issues with inner city schools or lower achieving schools with the higher achieving schools. And what I heard was, I've done some research, and what I heard was, we know all Republicans support private schools or charter schools, and what they are in support of is just, instead of you paying your tax dollars to the public for school, they'll actually just let you keep your tax dollars, and they will give no tax dollars to the public school. And then you can choose to send your kid to whatever school you want and use that money that you got back from your taxes. Do you think that she's going to be the next one to go down, or do you think her plan is going to work?
I think that she's just a kook, and she doesn't know anything. She's never been a teacher, and she doesn't know anything about education. And
no one knows, like you said, no one in his whole, like, we have a black surgeon who's in the head of housing. He's never even been on Section 8. Right. So no one knows what they're doing.
Right. I agree with you. And do I think that DeVos is going to be the one that's going to get clipped next? Probably not. But at the same time, it's just I saw the interview on 60 Minutes, and everybody's realizing they knew going into it. The only thing her claim to fame is her husband. She's got two claims to fame, which are kind of negative. One, her husband's the owner of Amway, which is its own weird, bizarre.
Wait, isn't that bullshit? That pyramid scheme bullshit? That Amway?
Yes.
Oh my God.
That
was like
husband.
Half of my 20s.
Oh, come on, tell the truth.
And then
things like that.
Okay, and then so there's the first on that side, and then on the other side, her brother is Eric Prince, who's one of the main guys at Blackwater, which is a security consulting firm,
like a private military.
Yes, sir. So she's just not. And I guess they had donated $200 million or some weird amount of money to Donald Trump. That's why she got the gig. She's she doesn't really know anything about education, and she would. The sooner that she gets out of there, the better. And I think people are just going to hold her at bay because she's not really going to be able to make too many destructive decisions. And all she's doing is shooting herself in the foot. Everybody realizes that she's an idiot. And
that interview disgusted me. And she was just like, well, the bad schools are just going to have to just do worse. I was like, bitch, you have no idea what you're talking about.
None.
But I feel that the reason why I think she's up to bat next is because right now all of our schools have our attention because of the what happened last month with the gun issue. So and then in the shooting. So I think that they're going to put an emphasis on like not only school education but school security, which all falls under her jurisdiction. Like, what are you going to do to fix this? What are you going to do to make us feel safer? It ultimately it falls under her.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a possibility that people could lean on Trump and have Trump change, and fire her, because ultimately he's the one that has the authority to fire her. But Trump's a weird guy, so I don't think that's going to be a priority for him. I think he's got his own problems. And Betsy DeVos is just one of them that he could just play dumb on and just ride it out for the 4 years. And then hopefully in 2020, we'll be able to fix a lot of that. And hopefully she doesn't do too much damage between now and then.
I can't wait for 2020. Oprah's going to be like, and you get a call. And you get a call.
Right. And Carlos, speaking of students and speaking of voting, 4 million new voters a year become 18. So when you run 400 in the States, 400 million new 18-year-olds appear, because they turn from 17 to 18. So when you run the numbers, comes this midterm, Republicans right now are panicking because they're about to lose a lot of seats. And that's
that's literally what I say the whole podcast. Racist people are dying, and the conservative or the not conservative, left-wing, like millennials, we're coming up.
They're coming up the ranks.
Change, and because you saw it with Barack Obama was the first president I was 18, and I registered as an 18-year-old, and I was like, fuck it, this is history. And I know me and a lot of my other black friends in college are like, we have to vote for this. I don't care what his politics is. He's black. Like, we didn't know nothing about politics. I was like, but he's black and I'm voting for him.
Sure.
So I think in 2020 we'll have a lot of millennials who saw what Donald Trump did and saw the hate that it created and won't let it repeat itself.
I think it's going to be, in this next, the midterms are going now. Like just yesterday, a guy named Connor Lamb, who's a Democrat, beat out a territory, District 18 in Pennsylvania, which was pro-Donald Trump 20 points. So you have to look at there is a gigantic, massive pushback to what the government's doing now. And I think that, believe it or not, in Congress, all we really need is about 23 more seats, and then it'll be a Democratic majority. And so everybody's got to vote, and hopefully they're voting for a progressive Democrat as opposed to a corporate Democrat. But I think there's going to be a rude awakening comes November, and I think that is going to be a great thing because we'll be able to it just makes so much sense. Some of the ideas, it's ridiculous. Right now we're talking about gun control, and I send my kids to school, and my older boy Luca, he protested today and he walked out at 10 o'clock for 17 minutes, and our school here in Los Angeles supported that. But at the same time, there are people like Donald Trump that come up with these ideas let's give the teachers guns so they can be in school with the guns.
I need to chime in here. I need your opinion, okay, since you are the politics guru of the bunch. Your child, you said your son sat out, right? Has he been properly, does he understand why he sat out? Because I feel like
he does.
A lot of us don't. A lot of them in the local schools near me, I see their parents posts and all that stuff about my kid sat out for this, blah, 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 rights for this, yada, yada, yada. And it doesn't seem like they really actually grasp the concept behind what it was originally meant to sit out for. But
Luca
has
definitely
your son really been educated about the whole?
Did you see the article where the kids sat in because they believed in gun rights too, Coco?
Yeah,
no, I did not. That's actually pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie.
Whose parents were very conservative, and it kind of mirrors yours. They sat out for a reason. These kids are like, hey, no, we don't believe it's a gun issue. We believe in me and our parents, and they
it's
sat
fair.
in and they have
fair
teachers.
enough.
Sure.
That's fair, right?
Yeah, I think, hey, it's the United States. You can do whatever you want. Don't hurt people. You know, you have your
Exactly.
opinion, and that's great. You have
But
your
do you
opinion.
think your
But
son has a grasp on the whole concept of everything?
he has a 12-year-old grasp on the
Which
concept.
is, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
So,
But
so he knows enough to why it's important. He knows enough to do something like that, and then he also knows that 5 years from now, 6 years from now, he's going to be voting. And I tell him, I'm like, this is, and I give him the 12-year-old version.
yeah,
But
yeah, I got
Doug,
the
in 20,
layman's version.
does your son have social media and like phones at 12 or no?
No, he doesn't really care about that stuff. He has a phone, yes. He doesn't use it that way. It's more like to text his friends to talk about video games.
The reason I I always shy away from saying that kids only have a 12-year-old version of that is because even though you, like, as a parent might not give them that information, they go to school. So they are kids talking about things that are deep, like, and he might have a better understanding than what he's sharing. Because I know that's how it was when I was in school 10, 15 years. Like, my parents are like, oh, even in my little Catholic school, they're like, oh, you don't really understand about what's going on. But we had a a good understanding of what was going on. So like, I agree with what you're saying is like, you keep them like very, he doesn't like social media. He doesn't like that, but the kids hear stuff in school.
I always say, after like 11 years old, you pretty much know about 75% more than your parents think you do. So
I believe that.
honestly, because it comes from all different directions. So that is very true. But then I also think that maybe Doug's son might have a more accurate grasp of it because he's gotten the information solely from his father and doesn't have the social media influence that a lot of kids that have seen everything online and are sitting out because it's cool to sit out. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. I mean, he knows enough to know that it's like the NRA is a problem. He knows enough to know that there were kids that were shot in Parkland, Florida. He knows how many kids. So he knows enough of the, I guess you could say the meat of the story, the meat of the story. He knows enough, and there it is. And the part of it is just trying to keep him in a space where I definitely don't have my head in the sand as far as like what information he gets. But for him, he's the kind of kid that like he's still a very young 12, as opposed to some kids by the time they're 12, they're very advanced.
Independent, right?
Yeah.
I have a question for
Doug,
you,
go ahead, Troy.
No, my question was like, how do you handle him bringing something to you that you don't know? Because then that's a whole different subject, especially something that, but might be going like Carlos said, going on in school that you may not have any insight on. But you're like, how do you handle that?
Well, the way I do it is that I have a ridiculously honest relationship with him, and I would rather have him hear things from me than making it up on the schoolyard or weird parts at the schoolyard. Yeah. So what I do is he knows he can ask me anything. And I will do my best to explain to him anything as long as to the best of my ability. And I would rather he come to me first, and I'll do my best to. 100%.
Like if he says anything, like
100%.
So do you feel like the relationship with him is, I don't want to say better, but in a good place and where it should be than most kids because of the honesty level that you have with him?
Perhaps. I know that maybe, yeah. I mean, again, I don't really point fingers and judge. So usually a lot of what I've learned for in the parenting space is sometimes you have to answer just enough questions to satisfy their curiosity. So a lot of times it's more like, Dad, I want to know about X, Y, Z. And I'll say, shoot, what do you know so far? And I'll find out how far off the track he is. And I'll just scooch him back onto the track rather than me talking, above him and in ideas that he might not understand. You take death, for example. I'm more curious as to what he thinks, and then I'll try to scooch the idea closer to, okay, cool, these are the facts. This is the part that's a little bit murky, and there you go. And
that's
that
like
seems
what
to
I said. about how I think it's more geared towards the family and the child because I think it's okay to give the child as much information as you feel that they can handle because every child has a different kind of mental capacity of just the truth, the bluntness. So I always say you can't really judge whether it's better or whether it's worse to bring your kids up that way because it's all about how much your child can handle mentally. Like have you guys had those talks? Have you always been that open? You can't just be like always hush hush about things and out of nowhere talk about dicks and vaginas when they ask about sex. So it's basically you got to balance it. You got to kind of learn your child, and that's a great way, like you said, to ask questions. Learn what they know so far so that you can fill in and steer them back on course. That's actually excellent. I think I'm actually going to steal that from you when I have kids.
Yeah, please do. And that's a lot of it's like, a lot of it has to do with there's so much misinformation, and I would rather them hear the truth from me than some just distorted way, I don't, and you can fill in the blanks on anything like health ed or any of the other stuff. It's like, what do you know? And I ask him the questions and then he's like, well, this and this and this. I'm like, okay, cool. And this and this, and it works. And so I would rather have him hear the truth from me than a bunch of just, inaccurate statements from the schoolyard.
We have a comment from Daquan, our resident chatter. He says, that is a great parenting tactic. See what they know and then realize what they need to know depending on their age and maturity. That is a wonderful way to sum up what both me and Doug actually said. That's actually exactly how I wanted to explain it. Yeah, perfect advice. Definitely would want to steal that one and kind of put it in my back pocket for 12 years from now.
Absolutely. So it looks like you want me to talk one more political thing, or you want to keep moving forward?
We can keep going.
Okay, Troy, do you know who that crazy Rex Tillerson is now?
Well, yeah. So basically, I found out my information. Carlson asked me in his segment about how I found out my news and how I use my voice. So I found out. I'm saying you, Carlos. Hope you can hear it back. I found out my news from my phone through like the USA News or whatever it is. It comes right to my phone. So that's who I found out who it was. I just read it today. So the fact that you said that was the only reason why I knew. I ain't gonna shit you. I ain't gonna be like, oh, I know. People like to lie. I didn't know. But I read it on my phone that Donald Trump got rid of him or something like that. Right. And then when you told me who he was, now I know who he really is. Now I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And why it's funny because like my wife, she does not want to talk about politics. Like she's just like has no interest in it. Nope. Doesn't want to talk about it, which is pretty fun.
Built up political aggression.
I was gonna say you can just spew it out here.
maybe. I don't know. All right. So let's talk about. I'm going to talk about Theresa May for a second. So Theresa May is the Prime Minister of England. Okay, and so a few weeks back, and Theresa May, she gets a hug and she's the rock star of the day for me. So she gets a hug. I love Theresa May. A few months ago, in England, a nerve agent was used on 2 Russian spies that were in the UK. Okay. Now it sounds like, what, neighbor Doug? What are you talking about? So this nerve agent was used and 2 people got injured. One was the main guy that was the spy. The other one was his daughter. And I think a police officer was also hurt. Okay. So that's bad. Then Theresa May, why she's the rock star. On Monday, she basically said to Parliament, hey, I'm reaching out today, Monday, to Russia, and I'm going to find out why did Russia use a nerve agent on UK soil, which is illegal and unethical and, right down the board, like you kind of got some explaining to do. And we're going to give them until Wednesday to explain. All right. So Monday goes by. They send the letter. Russia doesn't really respond, kind of gives her the heave-ho snub. And so today, Wednesday, she went back in front of Parliament and she said, she sees that because the nerve agent, the actual product that was used to poison these two people was manufactured in Russia. Mm-hmm. Okay. She feels that Russia is culpable, meaning they're responsible for that nerve agent. And because they've kind of given the UK the snub and they're not going to fess up to it or help solve the problem in any way, the next thing she does is she says the 23 Russian diplomats that are in the UK now, like they're in the embassy and such, mm-hmm. she gave them 1 week and then they're supposed to leave. And she's kicking out 23 Russian diplomats
that hold seats in their.
Yeah, she's like,
oh, wow.
You're out of here.
Wow.
So a shout out to Theresa May for being like, look, man, explain yourself. And when the person, when there's crickets and they don't explain, she's like, okay, cool, hit bricks, boom, and she pushes them out. And so she's definitely got, the rock star of the day.
I love when any type of politician or someone in charge holds people accountable for their bullshit. A lot of the times, mm-hmm. Especially sadly in America, we're known as pushovers because we don't hold up to our own word, and we don't punish people for the right reasons. We praise people who are doing terrible things, and we punish those that mm-hmm. are just trying to survive and just do right by everybody. So to see that there's somebody in politics that's actually taking action and making an example, showing an example, from these people, from them not wanting to fess up or own up to this. She's making an example of basically the whole country. So, that's a great thing. And I'm going to actually research that. I'm going to look up some articles about that because I think that's a boss bitch move. So praise you.
Yeah, there you go. Theresa May, rocking and rolling. She's getting it done. I love it. 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 So we talked a little bit. We talked a little bit about what was going on with gun control and a little bit about the gun lobbyists and the NRA. And so today was one of the days where students were walking out, and they did it. Believe it or not, it wasn't just statewide. There were actually people in Tanzania and other countries, in Israel and other countries that were actually walking out. And what's fascinating is that here in the United States, our gun laws are so quirky, and that even though you're allowed to have a firearm because of the Second Amendment, you're allowed to have arms, and that's great. The big question becomes, are you allowed to have, assault rifles and such? And so today was the day where students were stepping out and marching. And it's great because you can see that there's a lot of momentum just on this subject, and the kids aren't going to let it go. The politicians are kind of riding shotgun for a second, but the kids are driving the ship, and these kids are coming up the ranks, and they're going to be voting this year and next year and the year after that. And I think it's really a great time that change is happening, and it's not happening from the government level. It's happening from the streets up.
So many people dog that generation so badly. Like, all they do is go online. They have no attention span. Their thumbs are getting shorter. All this dumb shit. Social. Yeah, they're not social, they're not retaining things. And for them to all kind of come together and stand up for a cause, even if, the reasoning may be skewed slightly, at least they're standing up for something and are finding it cool. Even if for those who just think it's cool, they're finding it cool to stand up for something rather it's some bullshit that's not going to get anywhere, or not, standing up for a cause or anything. So I think that's actually pretty cool that it shows them in a different light. And it's, again, like you said, they're going to be the generation that's going to be voting coming up, so we need to see that there are kids in that generation that are going to be politically minded, that are caring people, that are not going to be what everyone's been dogging them out to be. So I like that. I like that I'm seeing this. Even though I don't necessarily agree wholeheartedly with the cause, I love seeing everyone come together as they have been.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really important, is just that they're saying what they want to say. Great. Exactly. And I think that's what's important, and it's creating a lot of synergy, and that's cool. I think it's a great thing. Troy, what do you think? Do you have any thoughts on the students kind of protesting regarding the guns? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Okay, so I heard Carlos say something about that earlier, and so I want to make sure. Are we talking about the kids that protested that guns are okay, or kids protesting against the guns? Because I saw a couple different protests online. So
right.
What are we talking about?
So the bulk of it is that most of the kids that are protesting because the NRA, which donates, $30 million to Donald Trump and has a lot of influence on government, the NRA does not want to take firearms off the streets. They're in the business of selling guns. And the kids that are protesting are saying, not only do we want to get rid of the guns, but we want to change the laws. And so that's basically what it's about. So, there are a lot of kids that are concerned that the shootings keep happening. And sadly, what happens is every time there's a shooting, the NRA actually there's more gun manufacturers sell more product because everybody, because everybody, right. So and so the kids are just saying, look, why would you protect somebody's right to have an assault rifle in the city more than you would protect my right to be safe at school? That's what they're protesting.
That's amazing. First of all, shout out to the millennials, because I feel like it's important to stand for something or fall for anything. Unfortunately, like a lot of people will fight about things that they have no knowledge of. When I see the fights in Detroit, the riots in Detroit when it was looting and doing all those crazy things, it drove me crazy, because I'm like, when Martin Luther King fought for civil rights, he still dressed real cute with his suit on, with his shape up, and he stood there and fought for the rights that he believed in. When I saw them covering their faces and covering their faces and not being proud, just fighting mad and angry, it made me angry. It made me realize you don't know what you're fighting for, because why would you need to be mad? If you know what you're fighting for, nothing wrong about feeling some type of way. But how do you counteract that? Don't be hiding your face. Be the boss that you are. Be the leader that you are. If you're going to fight for something, know what you're fighting for. Do the educating part and learn it. Know what you're doing. If you have questions, ask them. So before you stand up for something you know. So I support them in standing up and fighting for what they believe in and saying, hey, listen, my kid is only 16 months. You got to go to school at some point. So, hey, if they fight for it now, I won't have to worry about that when she's school age, because I at the point where I don't want to send my kids to school. I'd rather find some homeschool system than to send my daughter to school knowing that she can get shot or anything can happen because somebody else's decision today, because their parents not showing them love or support, or somebody's not giving them the love and attention they need to just say, hey, why would you don't do that? Love yourself enough to not do something. Like, those little things. So.
Sure. Yep. All right. I think let's shift over and do a little bit of talk about music. What do you think?
Wait, real quick. Just to clarify, the generation after the mid-90s to the early to mid-2000s is Generation Z. So we want to definitely categorize them properly. So they're not millennials. They're right below millennials. So we're going to say Generation Z because they're really stepping up in the game. So I want to make sure we give them their props. We're propster too. Also, one more thing. Can we say rest in peace to Stephen Hawking? Like, did we get a verification that he actually passed away? Because these hoaxes stuff be freaking me out. No. But he has a lot of political influence as well. So definitely want to say rest in peace to Stephen Hawking. You are amazing. You will always be amazing. You will always be inspirational. And, we definitely want to say a great rest in peace. So just wanted to get that out there. But yeah, let's head over to some music. I feel like some more heated topics that I know Troy's got something under in his sleeve. So.
Oh God. So we'll I definitely do. Come on. All right, guys. That sound means today in music. All right, so I got something interesting I want to talk about. Hopefully it doesn't take us, too much time. But, I'm definitely one of those people that's going to bring something I like to debate. And I like to really talk about things that, mean something to me personally, as well as, somebody else that may have mentioned it to me. So, today in music, clear his throat. With the ending of shows like American Idol and X Factor, and the introduction of new shows like The Four and The Voice and all these new things, do you feel that the shows coming out, going in, and what they're doing for music reality in regards to the music industry and music, those shows are actually really benefiting the music industry at all? Like, are they even needed?
Ooh, me.
You know, go for it. Yes, let's start with you, and then I'll tell you why all this came about.
Okay, because I've had this opinion for a long time, so I'm so glad you brought this up. I feel like the shows like The Voice or American Idol or whatever that new show is with the Four or something like that, I think they kind of are diluting the essence of what it means to be a singer-songwriter. And I always gravitated towards the artists that kind of worked their way up, you know, sang in dive bars, you know, just kept doing everything and grinding until they got discovered, or they grinded so hard that they didn't have to get discovered. They just kind of pushed their own shit and it got on the radio, and now they're amazing and they're selling millions. I just feel like it just makes it way too convenient for the industry, and it's just kind of taking away the essence for me. Like, I used to love American Idol. American Idol was life for me, just because it was new and it was the only one at that time. So I'm just like, cool, makes it a little bit easier for the average Joe to get in the music business. But now there's so many shows and so many auditions for things. YouTube has their own fucking competitions. I'm like, listen, I want someone to present me with music that has a heart of triumph and struggle, and you can hear it in the music, you can hear it in their soul when they've, you know, worked to the bone to get where they are, you know, not gone on a show, their first audition. It aches me. I mean, I'm so happy for them, but it pains me when someone's like, this is my first audition, my family just told me I can sing, and so I just thought I wanted to give it a try.
Hey, when I'm out in these streets grinding, where you been?
Yeah, exactly, and they win or something, and it just irritates me. I don't know, that's just me. I might just be being petty, but anyway, I want to know what made you bring this up, and I also want to, of course, we want to hear Doug, but I'm sorry I cut you off. I want to hear what made you bring this up.
No, that's okay. I know, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go to Doug first, and then I'm going to pick it up. Go ahead, Doug.
All right, so I think that those, it's fake. I think that's fake. I think it's basically just canned. It's like a show. It's a script. You know, if you're a singer, okay, let's just say somebody's a singer, that is a craft. And there are so many different components that come to that craft, whether it's the songwriting, whether it's how to perform, whether it's song selection and knowing how that works, whether it's
raw talent.
And there's so many parts to it. And I think that a lot of times the voices of the world, they leapfrog past a lot of the things artists need to learn and just kind of fast track them right in front of the, you know, okay, the light's on, the camera's on, we're recording, go.
Right.
And so I think what ends up happening is that I'm not even going to say whether it's fair or not. I just think that a lot of times if that's your career trajectory, one, it's not very long because you jumped a bunch of steps.
Come on, speak the truth.
And you know, and guess what? Next year there's going to be another show, and so there's going to be the next new hottest fill in the blank.
And someone to pass the crown on to, and then you're just going to be broke and sad and jealous.
And then every once in a blue moon, there is somebody that pops through and can continue kind of going through the ranks. And so
every now and then,
hands down, like, I don't watch those shows at all. I think it's just there's not much for me. But I will say, you know, people like Kelly Clarkson, you're like, wow, that girl can really, really sing. And does it mean that she's the best singer in the world? No. Is it interesting and there's a little bit of drama and she's doing her thing? Sure. You know, it's you know, she's doing her thing. But I get it. You know, I wish her the best. And I realized that even when she was at the top of her game, the moment she was off the show, I know what rooms she was playing in Los Angeles. She wasn't playing big rooms at all. So, it can be it's a show, man. That stuff's a show. It's a show. The Carrie Underwoods of the world, I see how, she kind of got fast tracked into the country thing. And that was like arena country. Okay, I get it.
It's poppy country, which is what's in right now, sadly. I like original, but it's poppy country, so,
But I do think that's kind of like that falls back into that same thing of like, blockchains and cross branding. Like, if you ask me, what does Kim Kardashian do? I just shrugged my shoulders. I'm like, I don't know. I don't really know what that person does.
Sex on video.
If that's what it is, I just don't know. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Let me not do that. I won't do that. I apologize for that. But that's what she did to become famous. That's fact.
No, we don't apologize here on Savage Media Radio, Troy.
No,
get out. There's the door.
She's a boss.
The door is that way.
She's a boss. Listen, I have to apologize for what I said because I have to. It's how you say things. I don't regret what I said. She did make a sex tape to become famous, but I respect her hustle and who she is. So when Doug said, "What does Kim Kardashian do?" Technically, she's a mogul. So, somebody that we can end up working with one day. And so I don't hate her or anything like that. But the fact is, she did what she did, and the fact that she did a sex tape, and hey, that pussy got popping, and now she's lit. So I can't take that away from her. Sorry, go ahead, Doug.
I'm so quiet.
Dude, that was one of the best phrases ever. Her pussy got popping, and now it's lit. I think I got it.
Yo, where's John when you need him?
Where's John? John, you're missing out, dude. That pussy was popping, and now it's lit. Come on, dude.
I'm just saying. Now everybody's trying to do it. Black China just did one. No one want to see that girl. They were talking about how bad. It was so bad. They were talking about how bad it was when she was doing what she was doing. But I'm like, y'all all watching it. So y'all click pays of paying somebody's bills. I haven't seen it, and I don't want to.
Can we talk about Ray J and how Ray J should be the motherfucking mogul right now? Because nobody knew who this bitch was before Ray J smashed her, so I don't know why. Why are we not bowing down to motherfucking Ray J? Let's get Ray J here. Ray J's the one we will be fucking working with, sir. Okay.
Right. You right about that. He's the real MVP. You right. Ray J, we're going to get him on Savage Media Radio and talk to us. We're going to work it out. That's how we're going to do it. I'm going to work on it, y'all. But let's recenter a little bit because I'm going to take a little bit of time. The reason why I brought this up is because I'm a singer. I'm a performer. And I've auditioned for American Idol 6 times, The Voice 5 times, and I've auditioned for BET Sunday's The Best 3 times.
Did you really?
I did. And so in that, because I believe that, hey, this is what it was. During my age range, American Idol started popping. So I'm like, hey, I know I'm good, so if I just keep following my dreams, something's going to happen. But I never made it past round 1. And then I began to realize as I went on, because I'll be practicing in the hallway, people like, oh, shit, boy, you dope. But I would never make it past round 1. I'd be like, wow, I don't understand. So then I started to doubt myself at some point, and then I slipped and realized that I think that I don't need none of those. Like Doug was saying, I don't need those things to be an artist. I just need to grind and do the things I'm doing that I need to do, and I'm gonna pop if I put my all into it and focus. I don't need those things. Before those things existed, people still became artists. So I don't need those things to become an artist. So but I believe in myself so much that hey, I'm gonna go. And so I finally said, I'm done with this shit. I'm over it. Like that shit is fake. It's rigged. Nobody really, you know what I'm saying? Because I started thinking about the artists. Like, oh, the artists that they have on there, they never be like, what did artists say? Like The Boys. Now, one artist from the first season till now has been a #1 selling artist on the tracks. Like, no, I'm not saying. Let me not. I don't know all the facts. What I'm saying is like they're not like Beyonce. They're not like Kelly Clarkson. They're not like Fantasia. They're not like on that level. So I realized like, what's up? Like we calling ourselves as artists that want to be on The Voice on these shows, but they're not really. After you win or if you don't win, what does it do for you? But I brought this topic up mainly because to play devil's advocate. I've been through all of that hell to tell you this today. I told you earlier that I got I did some videos for a show that called me back. I've been called back for the second round, sort of, pretty much of the 4. So that's the big secret in a sense. Right. And so, but it wasn't. I did. I was up all night shooting these videos. And got them all out and did get everything about the deadline and I was supposed to and all that. So the rest is in God's hands, but I believe this is it. But the reason why I said this is because I didn't realize until today, after some interactions and conversations and time with myself, that those shows do really provide a platform. But it's up to you as the person to really retain it and make things happen with it. Because I look at myself now with Shorty's Music, the brand. I got a lot of shit popping. I don't need that show to make me who I am. But being on the platform, just getting in the show to audition for the judges on TV alone, that takes you from being, hey, you want to book Troy Weeks Music, the MC for your party now, or do you want to book Troy Weeks, the MC from The Voice as your MC? So it takes it to a whole other level when you can say, as seen on American Idol, as seen on The Voice, as seen on The Tour.
Yep.
So I realized that it's really not the Voice's problem that these artists aren't popping. It's the artist's problem that the artists aren't popping. Because once they give you the platform, it's up to you to take advantage of that. So today was an awakening for me because I was over this shit. And I originally sent my information in for the 4, maybe like 2-3 weeks after the show started because they were still looking for people. I submitted my application. I even submitted on Facebook and said, hey, it said, you can share this. I shared on Facebook, I auditioned for the 4, submitted my information. Boom. But I never got a confirmation email. So then the deadline's coming and the show's about to be done for looking for new people. On the deadline day, I'm watching it with my aunt. Shout out to my Aunt Marilyn. That's actually Daquan's grandmother.
Oh, hey, Auntie.
Daquan's grandmother, Titi Marilyn. That's Daquan. If you're still listening, shout out to,
Oh, he
I love
is.
your grandmother. I love y'all. You still there? Yeah, I'm sitting there watching the 4 with her, and she looks, Poppy, what's up? Like, you should be on this show. I was telling her I already submitted my application, but I didn't get a thing. She said, fill it out again. So I said, fuck it. I'm going to fill it out again. I filled it out again. 2 days ago, I got an email from them saying, hey, we're considering you. We like what you do. We need more videos. What's up? Boom. This is what it needs to be. Bam. And we have to do it. We got to get it back ASAP. Boom. Done. So I did it. But I almost gave up, even though because I thought that they had my shit, and they didn't. So I was like, let me do it again. But that's not to say this. Even if regardless of what happens, I've learned today that being on any platform that you're given, no matter what platform it is, artists, are you listening? Artists, please listen. No matter what platform you were given, whether it's American Idol, The Voice, no matter what it is, you utilize that platform for what it needs to be. You and then turn and take those followers you have and those things you have, and you put your foot to the ground and you make that happen. It's not their job to make you the star because they gave you the platform. It's your job to become the star. And that's what I've realized in today and being,
Troy, can I say
making
something?
it to the second round finally. Yeah, I'm listening.
Despite, how anyone feels about those shows, even myself or Doug or anybody, you're a rare breed, though. So however far you get, which you will get far, just know that we support you and we're so excited for you. And we know that you've struggled and you've done those trials and tribulations and triumphs. And, we back you. You're definitely a rare breed because you have hustled. We know you've hustled. We see the hustle. You brand yourself all the time. So we definitely want to wish you the best of luck. Possible because we love you and you're super, super talented. Guys, look out for him. look out for Troy Weeks Music, all right?
Listen, this is definitely my type of show. I'm Beverly hungry. Like, I have a daughter now who's 16 months who looks at me with so much love, who I have to now in turn feed and make sure she's good. So she has to have shelter over her head. She's good. This little girl, she B-boxes with me. If y'all know who I am, follow me on Snapchat because the real deal is on Snapchat. I post everything on Snapchat. I don't post everything on Instagram and Facebook because that shit can be replayed. But Snapchat is gone after 24 hours. So follow me on Snapchat. A lot of the things you'll see, she's with me on Sundays in church. She's beatboxing. She's on Sunday church in the morning with the microphones. Like, she dances. Like, she loves music. Like, this little girl is destined to be something in this world. And it's amazing to see yourself and your kid. So at the end of the day, I'm hungry. And I know the floor is all about, like, today you're here and tomorrow you're not. So it's good. You got to be very hungry every performance. And so
I do like the concept, though. It's very, cutthroat, and I like that.
Yes. They push you to talk to them. They push you to be hungry. And the good thing is that let the hungriest man win, like the food chain. Let the hungriest survive. And it's like, my dad was telling me today, like, I finally called him and told him about it because I didn't tell a lot of people, but hey, y'all my family. Y'all, if y'all listening to y'all, first of all, my co-hosts are my family, and if y'all listening to Savage Media Radio, the voices, you're my family. So that's why I decided to say it here. It's not a secret. I already put on Facebook. I already submitted my paperwork. Now I made it to the next round. So I'm just excited. I'm on cloud 9. And so I want to share that with you guys, and it's important. We live and we learn and we grow. I learned and grew today. It was a maturing thing for me to realize, hey, it wasn't until I got this call back for the next round to realize that, the platform is yours. With all the platforms I have with Savage Media Radio, with 2 podcasts, with the YouTube shows I host, with the shows I host in New York now with my band, like, the things I hope. Come on, like I've
Doug,
already
what
got
do you
the platform
think?
I need.
What do you think
Come on,
about
I,
Doug, what you think?
this is exactly, here's what I think. I think, Troy, what you have is you've got a lot of, this isn't your first audition.
No.
exactly?
Definitely
A
not.
lot under his belt.
You've put a lot, you've got a lot of notches on your belt. You've done, you're earning your stripes as you go on. And I would agree with you that it's a platform, and I hope you're the one that pops through. I think that's great.
Definitely.
And I think I think that's great. What I do know is that you have a lot of the components already going into it. Sometimes I take issue with the people that bypass all those components, and it's like, here's my first YouTube video. But
I agree with you 100%.
Right.
Like, that's my fight, and that's what my issue I have with these shows. Because I would show up. I've slept overnight for 2 days in Boston, out in the street with random people I don't know, just to audition for American Idol. Be told up by some random ass intern, you're not what we're looking for. So this is people's lives. This is our livelihood. This is not a joke. We go to this with everything in us. We spend our last money to do it, to make it happen. So in that, it's not taken as serious as it is when they send you to an arena that they show you on TV. It's not what it really is. You don't get to audition for the judges. You audition for interns, and you're there all day, all night, days sleeping in random hotels, doing random things to make it happen. So I realized that all that is worth it now because of where I'm at without any show, having 2 podcasts that I'm under with Savage Media Radio, the YouTube shows, the stuff I've been hosting for the last 4 or 5 years. I feel like I've superseded all of that. So going into it, somebody like me, I'm definitely going to benefit no matter what level of the show because as long as America sees me, that's all I need. Mm-hmm. I'm so hungry, I'm the lion, and I'm ready. Because once the doors open, I've already thought about my finale song on my season being over and the song I'm going to sing when I win. That's how crazy it is for me. So if you're ready to go, let's go.
There you go.
I don't think like that because I've been there, done that. I've put my time in. So it's not my first rodeo.
Hey, guys, real quick.
Uh-huh.
We have something inspirational from Daquan Carter. He says, to you, Troy, you keep continuing to do what you do, Troy. Keep molding your sound. Like you said, it's a person who maximizes the platform. We haven't seen or heard from Ruben Studdard in a long time, but you keep working. You have the support, and you spread your arms into many platforms, and you're expanding your brand and making connections with other people who can help you. So thank you, Daquan. That's so sweet.
Yes.
Come on, fam, coming through.
I appreciate it. Listen, one day on a Saturday, I'm putting this out there right now, Courtney, and to Doug being here too, and everybody listening tonight on Wednesday, I'm going to get Daquan on the Saturday night show of Free Yourself, and he's going to talk with me and Coco. He's going to be our co-host, and he's going to talk with us. This week, I have an awesome artist coming through, a friend of mine who has a great, amazing story about freeing himself. But maybe the next week or the week after, I'm going to talk to Daquan off air. We're going to figure it out, Daquan. So we're going to figure this out. We need you to finally merge from the podcast chat room to the actual, letting us hear your voice and really being the catalyst that you are. Maybe it's time, and maybe all these chat room comments has been leading up to the point where you speak your voice. And so I'm just saying, I know Coco supports that. So that's it. We're going to work on that.
Doug.
But yes, thank you. Mm-hmm.
Doug, before we get to your segment, though, Doug, did you want to wrap it up and say something about everything in general?
About everything in general. I think
music,
Troy.
Silly.
I think it's an interesting medium. If you get into that, if you are chosen and you get to that spot, you're smart enough to know that you've got to hustle. Yeah. And I think that you would take full advantage of the opportunity and the blessing presented to you, and you'd use it the right way. And I think that as long as you keep your eyes up and you realize that if it turns into go time, go hard as you can and maximize the opportunity to the best of your ability. And I think that's the smartest way that's the smartest way. And I don't think that I don't think you're phoning it in. I think you're earning your stripes. I think you're earning your keep, and you deserve to be up there. And if the stars line up, maximize it as long as it can, and try to get as many people to hear the name Troy Weeks music. And there you go. That's the goal. That's the goal. Your goal is to try to play in front of as many people as you can a night. That's it.
Right.
Here's an opportunity. If it lines up, you'll be playing in front of a lot of freaking people in a night. That's the goal.
Yeah, that's amazing.
the goal.
Yeah, listen, I created my own style and genre of music because of that whole point. I realized that I don't have to fit into anybody's box to do anything. And I know that that's going to come with challenges because people are going to say, oh, you sound like this, you sound like that, you sound like this. But ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear. I sing R&B, neo soul, and gospel music. But because I didn't fit into one box alone, I created my own style and genre of music entitled Soul and B, so I sing Soul and B music. So with that, there are characteristics that we can talk about the whole other time that makes it its own style and genre of music, because I know people are going to come for me. But that's okay, because God gave it to me all in advance when he gave me the idea. So at the end of the day, watch out, world. I'm coming. Troy Weeks Music is here, and I have something to say, and I'm not stopping until the world knows my name, and that's just pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Today in music, we have to keep things moving because we're really over our time. We got so
No, really. We're doing pretty good based on how bad we've been lately. So, I want to hear some music now.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys. I definitely didn't expect to, but, when I start talking about things, I heated. And this was a very important moment. Like, I really enjoy this podcast. I really enjoy being a part of this family, and I really enjoy doing what I do. And this is definitely a part of doing that, living out the dream that I've always dreamed. So shout out to you, Courtney, for creating this whole platform. As I always say, y'all say it a million times.
Of course.
Shout out to Travis Media Radio. Let's get it, y'all. Today, music is now over. Until next week, going to move things over. Still listening with Doug Carry On.
Hey everybody, welcome to I'm Still Listening. I'm your host, Doug Carrion, and in this segment, I'm going to be highlighting the coolest independent hip-hop, indie rock, and electronic music now available on SoundCloud. Check it out. What's going on, InnerTube? What's going on, InnerWeb? It's Mr. Doug Carrion here. I'm Still Listening. Got two great tracks for you. The first one from the Netherlands. The artist is Major Lazer. The track's called Jano Partial, but it's a remix by Yellow Claw and Young Felix. If you love the track, you can find it soundcloud.com/Yellow Claw, and it sounds like this. Wow, ha, 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 ha. Crunchy, crunchy remix. I love it. Okay, song number 2. You know, we're in this space now where you do this thing called punishing your equipment, which is taking equipment further and further outside the norms. So with a nod, the artist is called D-Lax. The track's called Drop You Like. If you like it, SoundCloud.com. All Trap Nation. It sounds like this.
Drop that shit. Okay.
If you're not trucking after that song, I don't know what's wrong with you. You know, that's definitely one of, I can't even get it out of my head. Oh my gosh. That was Savage Media Radio, ladies and gentlemen. It's Wednesday night. We wrapping up. We closing out. Y'all know how we do. Before we close out, we want to make sure, Courtney, anything last minute things in the chat room before we close out, anything we need to say to somebody, any shout outs and the
No, we just have to be sure to shout out Larry because Larry's been kind of agreeing here and there with all the things that we've been saying. He's just kind of been letting us know he's there. So let's say hi to Larry and Daquan, resident chatters. You guys are awesome. We appreciate you guys every week. Same time, you guys always keep our chat lit, and you guys always are there to give us good conversation. So thank you so much to Larry and Daquan. Yeah. But other than that, we're good. We're good. It was a great night.
It was a great night. I love passion. I love the things we talked about. I love the, intensity. I hope somebody was inspired, motivated, changed, and, in some way from something that we said, or even intrigued to want to ask questions, I feel like at the end of the day, this is the whole purpose and why we do what we do. We want to be able to stir some shit up. That's why we savage. Right. It's what we do. That's why, that's what we do. So, ladies and gentlemen, until next week, if you got
wait, sorry, real quick. I gotta say so sorry to everybody who's listening, and that I did not bring a game this week. I have been slipping. Right. It is my week to slip. All right, y'all know I always keep everybody afloat. So this was my week, but I will not disappoint. And thank you, Doug, for providing some awesome political discussion because that's what we're missing, and people want to hear that. So thank you so much, Doug. We appreciate that. And hopefully we'll have the whole gang next week, so that we can, have a lively party once again. But we definitely held it down. So thank you, guys.
Yes, we did. We held it down to the end. We went over our time as we always do. We probably spend our time at this point. You know, we might be 2-3 minutes or late, but you know, we always, you know, keep you getting that good content. You know what we got to do? We're gonna have to start cutting our content on time no matter what.
Right.
Matter of fact, early to make people follow us on Spreaker.com. Sick of it. Follow us on Spreaker.com, y'all. Because that's what, you know, we're going to start putting up bonus content and things like that from different behind-the-scenes stuff that we got going on in our personal lives. And also, you know, things that you know, happen behind the scenes that you may not know about. And the only way to find out those things is Spreaker.com, y'all. Y'all got to follow us.
Once y'all start following us, then we'll start being here on fucking time, okay? Listen, that's how this is going to roll. All right?
Listen, we still here, y'all. We here in time and spirit. Don't do that, Coco. We here in time and spirit, you know. And when you're doing things start from the bottom, now we here, you know. We getting our systems down pat. You know, we're not in a radio studio, y'all. This is all done remotely, so don't think we're sitting in one place. Well, if you listen to us, you know that we're all over the place. But you know, don't think this. You know, we're all over the place using all kinds of different equipment. We're doing this to make it happen for you guys. So don't, you know, it's a struggle. This is real. Don't worry, things is changing. Change gonna come. We upgrade each and every week. We do bigger and better things, you know. We incorporate more things to be able to get you guys to get more swag and be able to win some money and all these little different things, you know. We might start calling people in live on Facebook and doing, you know, we don't know. Things are going to change. YouTube, we're working on some things, y'all. But y'all got to stay tuned. Y'all got to be listening. And y'all got to be here and start to follow us on Spreaker.com. I think I said it all. I think I fitted it very well. Y'all stay tuned till next week. Wednesday, we have Friday, Real Shit Fridays with Courtney and Carlos, so don't forget to tune in. We have Saturday Night Free Yourself with Troy Means Music with my co-host, Coco Blue. Don't forget to tune in, ladies and gentlemen. We need all of y'all listeners to hear what's going on because we got a variety of things going on. We want to make sure that you are in tune with what's going on, y'all.
And be sure to tune in this week to Free Yourself on Saturday. Because we will not be here on Saturday the week after, so you have to listen to this Saturday,
because we'll be working.
You can get your fix, all right?
Right, get your fix. Get your fix. It'll probably end up being that Sunday that week. Like we did that one time, we had to do it on Sunday. We may have to probably do Sunday next week. But this Saturday we have the first friend of mine, C-Page Music, C-Page Sings. He's going to be, you know, he's been through a lot in his life, and as an artist, he's an LGBT artist, out and free and loving himself, and, you know, he's a good friend of mine, and he has some things to say, and he has some things he's working on, and it's amazing to have people in your life that really, you know, have been through some things and overcome it all. And so he will be tuning in. He will be a third co-host between me and Coco this week on Saturday for Yourself. So if you're tuning in now, please tune in Saturday night. This Saturday will be our last Saturday for 2 weeks. But, you know, we're always there every week. We'll make it work. But, you know, for those who listen faithfully every Saturday at 7, you know, this week is important because it's definitely Free Yourself is very important to me. And if you listen every week, you know about the platform that we perform, and this platform is exactly for what we're doing this coming Saturday. So tune in and listen. Shout out to you, C-Page Sings on Instagram. You guys can check it out. All right, guys, that's it. It is Wednesday night. We're closing out Savage Radio, The Voices. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, stay savage.
Savage!